In today's video, we're going to talk about formal versus informal speaking in Serbian. Serbian language actually has two different forms of speaking. The first is formal, and the second is informal. I'm going to explain what that means. So unlike English, which in English we just add words to indicate that we're being formal, in Serbian language there's a little bit more to it. Now see, I'm from Texas originally, and in Texas it's a yes sir, yes ma'am culture. Everything is like yes sir. Would you like this? Yes sir. Would you like that? Yes ma'am. Would you like that? No sir, no ma'am. Yes please. All these things are built into our culture and our language. And so for me, the idea of having to speak formally in a different language, i.e. Serbian, is not a foreign concept for me at all. But the implications grammatically for speaking formally in Serbian are vastly different from that in English. Again, in English we just add a few words and it indicates formality or politeness, whereas in Serbian there's a grammatical system and structure that has to be implemented to get this right. I want to just pause for a second and say, when you hear that, don't get overwhelmed. Don't start saying, oh man, this is hard.
Oh man, this is hard.
Stop saying it's hard, okay? It's not hard. Anything new just requires what? Learning. That's it. It just requires learning. So just stay nice and relaxed. Don't overwhelm yourself, because this actually makes sense. It's actually quite logical, and I'm going to explain a little bit. Go into more detail in this particular broadcast about the importance of formal speaking versus informal. And in a future broadcast, I'll cover how you can actually get there in broad strokes. So for right now, let's talk about when, how, and why formal Serbian is used. So in very basic terms, you can use formal speech for the following reasons. One, if you're meeting someone for the first time and you don't know them, similar age, if it's a 9-year-old, you don't have to use formal Serbian. But if it's someone kind of in your age bracket or demographic and they're a stranger, it's very polite to use the formal speech. Okay. Another reason would be talking to a professional. You're talking to a waiter. You're talking to your cab driver. You're talking to your dentist. You're talking to the person who's checking you in at the gym. Use the formal speech. It's super polite. So you're wondering right now, when is it okay to use informal Serbian? Well, you can use informal when you're speaking to someone you already know, you're talking to a friend, a colleague, or if you're speaking to someone who has asked you in Serbian, let's talk in the informal way, because they're basically inviting you to speak informally. It's a way of closing the relational distance. Because when you speak informal Serbian, you're kind of creating a little bit of a separation because it's super polite. So if someone invites you to close that distance, you can accept that invitation and transition into informal Serbian. I want to just highlight one thing. Don't speak informally to elders, even if you know them well. The reason why formal speech in Serbian is so important is because it indicates that you have three things. It indicates that you have class, that you have respect, and most importantly, that you have cultural awareness, okay? If you don't understand formal versus informal, you're gonna come across as somewhat unpolished. Now, here's the best part about Serbs, though. They're still gonna praise you for speaking Serbian. Rare is the day that someone's going to correct you and say, you gotta speak to me in the formal. That's actually quite rare. There are cultures where formal speech and informal exist, and they will correct you on the spot. Serbia isn't really one of those places. But despite that, it doesn't mean that you should be speaking to someone in an informal way when in reality you should be speaking in a formal way. It's just not really appropriate. So I want to just really highlight that because it's super important. And again, it just really speaks volumes about you and your character, you as a person. If you know this and you attempt to navigate through it, it just makes speaking with Serbs so much more complete. So let me give you an example for a second of what I mean here. So my wife is from Serbia. My father-in-law and I are very close, but when I speak with him, I always speak to him utilizing the formal Serbian. I don't talk to him in the informal. An example of that would be when I see him, I'll say, kako ste, which is how are you formally, right? I don't say kako si, which would be informal. I say kako ste, right? And he's going to say, pa dobro sam, kako si ti. Now notice, he's going right into the informal speech, and he's allowed to do that because he's my father-in-law, right? He's my wife's father. So I speak to him in the formal Serbian, he speaks to me on the informal because I want to show more reverence and respect to my father-in-law. Otherwise, if I'm like, ajde bre, pa kako si, šta radiš? That's kind of like me speaking and saying, hey, what's up, homie, what's good? With your father-in-law, come on. So it's all about respect. It isn't about like proselytizing yourself or anything like that. It's just about being respectful. I have a lot of respect for my father-in-law. He has respect for me too, but grammatically, we express that respect a little bit differently. I'm gonna go to him in the V form, which is formal. He's gonna speak to me in the T form, which is informal, and that's completely okay. In the next video, we're gonna talk about how do you actually navigate through the V and T form, the formal Serbian and the informal Serbian. Of course, V and T. Remember that, VI, V, that's formal, TI, T, that is informal. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how to kind of navigate through that. So I hope you stick around and check out the next video. Please do, because it's going to be an exciting video and really catapult your Serbian to the next level. You want to be polished here. Again, it's about doing it not just for respect of the language and the culture, but also by respecting yourself. So give it a shot. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know what you think in the comments. Give us a big thumbs up if you liked it. Leave some comments in the comment box. Subscribe if you're interested in learning more about the Serbian language, about Serbia as a country, Serbian culture, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.